Hey guys! I'm sorry if my camera seems like it's crooked. I think my actual living room floor is crooked, so there's not too much I can do about that. I tried to like adjust it, but it still just looks crookedy, so whatever. But today I am super excited because I am feeling better. I still probably sound a little nasally, but you know, not much you can do. I'm kind of filming at a different time of day today. It's like more in the early morning or late morning, yeah. And my youngest is actually sitting over there just doing something quietly, so if you hear him or like an iPad or something, like just try and ignore it. But yeah, I really wanted to film this video for you guys because I have a giveaway going, so if you don't know about it, I will link it up here or up there. I never remember which way it is, but I will link it. It ends December 9th. So make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and definitely go check out that giveaway because you could win a free LAVIE product. So this video comes straight from an actual subscriber. I saw her comment. I always have my phone upside down. Like, I have the new iPhone and every time I pick it up upside down. Does anybody else have this trouble? Anyways, so I'm trying to go to the screenshot. So this was from Marie J. Full. And she was like, I don't want an oversupply like my last breastfeeding journey 2 years ago. So can you do a video on how to nurse and pump while not creating an oversupply? The oversupply is inconvenient, sometimes with having to pump every 2 to 3 hours. So I thought that was a really good question and like a really good like topic for a video, because I feel like a lot of times we don't really talk about like oversupply being an issue. We always usually talk about like an undersupply. So I came up with some notes and I wrote a couple things down just to kind of like give a little bit of advice and just a little insight on how we can kind of avoid an oversupply if you are nursing and pumping. And then I also wanted to touch a little bit on how to avoid an oversupply if you're exclusively pumping, because some people just don't want an oversupply. And to kind of put it into perspective, a just enougher or like the perfect amount, I guess, of supply that you would need is about 24 ounces a day. So anything below that would kind of be considered like lower supply, and then anything above that would be considered a oversupply. So like 30 ounces a day, 40 ounces a day, 60, whatever, that would be an oversupply. Like a 15 ounces, 10 ounces, 5 ounces a day, like that would be an undersupply. And I do want to kind of start out by saying that like it's really hard not to be affected by those numbers. I get affected by those numbers. Undersuppliers get really affected by those numbers, and oversuppliers get affected by those numbers. A lot of undersuppliers are like, how can an oversupplier be upset about making 60 ounces a day? Like, I make 20 ounces a day and I really wish that I could make 60 ounces a day. So my short answer for that is just that having 60 ounces a day means that you need to be able to find a place to put all that milk. And a baby is not going to eat 60 ounces of milk a day. If they are, you're overfeeding that baby. So a baby will generally eat between 20 to 25 ounces a day. That's why that's considered the normal range. So if you're making 20 to 25 ounces a day, you're perfect. You don't need to be making any more than that or any less. That's perfect for your baby as long as your baby is healthy, making pee diapers, poop diapers. I can't even think. Your baby's fine and gaining weight as well. And then a lot of oversuppliers will also be like, I wish that I didn't have like 80 ounces a day. Like I'm only pumping 3 times a day and I'm still getting 80 ounces. How am I ever going to wean? That can be really frustrating for somebody who sees somebody and it was really easy for them to wean at like 30 ounces a day or 20 or 15 because they literally just stopped pumping and it was fine. They didn't have all this over engorgement, they didn't have a ton of clogs, maybe they didn't get mastitis, whatever. You can still get mastitis as an undersupplier or an oversupplier, but you're way more likely to get mastitis as an oversupplier. So there's like definitely, you know, good and bad to each one of them. And I just want like us to all try and keep in mind that everybody has their own, you know, personal kind of feelings about it. And that's kind of why I don't really share too much like how many ounces I get a day, because I don't want people to judge themselves on what I'm getting, because that's my personal, like, that's my body and I don't even control that. Like, yeah, I pump, you know, 4 to 5 times a day, but like I still can't control how many ounces come out or don't come out. That's my body. I can put as many supplements in myself as I possibly can, but my body will still be like, no, you're only gonna get this much, or nope, you're gonna get this much or something. Like, I don't have control over that. And I feel like sometimes we forget that. So give yourself grace. Don't be mad at your body for producing too little or too much. Try to find the positives in it. And if you're producing too much, see if you can donate it to somebody, or see if you can start up with a milk bank. If you're not producing enough, see if you can get donor milk. See if you can get a lactation consultant to come and help you, or formula is fine too. Supplementing is not a bad thing. We need to get out of that mindset that formula is bad. It's not bad. I've used formula. It's fine. I love formula because it gives me that peace of mind that if forever there was something wrong, if I died and we had an infant, my husband would still be able to feed our baby. Like, it's so, so good that we have formula. And we have so many options of formula too. What are you doing?
Mom, what is?
Oh, Mommy is filming. This is my youngest. He has a little bit of a cold. Can you wave and say hi?
Yeah.
Okay. You're so cute. Go over there. Mommy's filming. He's such a sweetie. Okay, so now that I've been rambling, let's find my notes. Okay, here we go. Excuse me. This cold is like still. Ugh. All right. So, how to nurse and pump without creating an oversupply. I want to first say that this is going to be hard to do, because if you're pumping and nursing, the pumping will make a slight oversupply depending on how much you pump and depending on what you want to do, if that makes any sense. If you're just exclusively nursing, your body makes exactly what the baby needs, because the baby will only take out the exact amount of milk that it wants and needs. So if you add pumping on top of that, if nursing is going completely fine and all that, and you want to have like either a stash or just peace of mind, so you want to start pumping, you are going to technically be giving yourself an oversupply. But I'm going to tell you how to make sure that you're not making like a massive amount of oversupply. So this will pertain to somebody who's exclusively nursing, and that's fine, but now that they want to add some pumps to either have a milk stash or kind of peace of mind to see, you know, how much they're getting in each session, if that makes sense. So one of the things that you want to make sure that you're doing if you're nursing and pumping is that you're not going to be taking any milk enhancing supplements. So you don't want to be taking any of those milk cookies. You really, if you don't want an oversupply, you really shouldn't be taking any of the supplements. You can take like a prenatal vitamin and, you know, keep up with all of kind of your general vitamins and obviously be healthy and all that. Like, don't start eating like horribly, but you just don't want to have like a whole box of those cookies or something. Like, that's, you know, that's gonna make you have an oversupply. So the next really big thing is that you want to pump either midday or in the evening. You do not want to pump at night, so in the middle of the night, or in the morning, because at night and in the morning your hormones are going to be super high in the evening or at night and in the morning. So that's when you're going to be producing the most milk. So you want to pump like probably between like 11 and like 5, I would say. So like 11 in the morning and like 5 at night. You can either, you know, kind of pick and choose what you have. Maybe 10's too early for you, you know, like it really depends on what your body is kind of programmed to do. So that's going to be a trial and error thing for yourself. But you really don't want to pump in the morning, like right when you get up. Most people are pretty engorged if baby slept through the night. Don't pump then. Definitely nurse, because baby will only take the right amount that they need, and then during the day, you know, pump maybe 1 to 2 times. And just sort of see how that goes. But don't pump in the middle of the night, and don't pump in the mornings. If you wake up in the middle of the night and baby, you know, takes one side, but you're engorged on the other side, that's fine. Don't pump that side. Just in the morning when you wake up again, or when the baby wakes up again, start them on that engorged side, and it'll even itself out. Another thing that I want to say too is if you're nursing and pumping but don't want that oversupply, you only really want to be, sorry, my camera died. You only want to be pumping an extra 1 to 2 times a day. You really don't need to be pumping any more than that. If you start pumping like 3 or 4, you're going to be really creating that extra oversupply. So one pump session, one pump session a day would be fine. 2 pump sessions would be fine. If you want to kind of get more of a freezer stash, you could add 2 pumps, even 3, but just be careful because you could end up having that oversupply. Another thing is that if you're pumping 1 to 2 times a day, don't pump for too long. Only pump for 1 letdown or 10 to maybe 15 minutes, but I wouldn't go any further than 15 minutes. If you get 2 letdowns in those 10 to 15 minutes, cut it back to maybe like 8 minutes or so. You really only want to have 1 letdown if you don't want to have an oversupply, if that makes sense. So now I just wanted to touch a little bit about how to exclusively pump and not have an oversupply. This is kind of something that not very many people might want to do, but I did just want to touch on it because I wanted to make sure I just got like all my bases kind of checked off with this video. So one of the big things is that you want to make sure that you cut back on your pump time, like I said, and the amount of pumps per day. So if you're exclusively pumping in the beginning, you want to create a lot of milk so that you can get that really nice supply. So I would be pumping at least 8 times a day or every 3 hours. But every 3 hours, that's, some people do every 2.5 hours. I would not do every 2.5 hours. That's way too much. A baby like does and it doesn't feed every 2.5 hours. That's way too much. You're gonna create a huge oversupply that's gonna be really hard to wean from. So I would either pump 8 times a day if you're trying to exclusively pump right off, or every 3 hours. But if you're really worried about an oversupply, just do 8 pumps per day at like 30 to 40 minutes. And then once you hit kind of like that 12-week mark, 12 weeks postpartum, then you can bump your pumps down to either 3 or 4 pumps a day. You do want to do that gradually so that you don't have mastitis. So that either could be you drop pump times or you just drop pump sessions. It really kind of depends on what you want to do. I always just did like a cold turkey thing, which I just dropped a pump session. And I did get clogs, but I always just made sure that I either got the clogs out or I used that sunflower lethian or something. I know I'm saying it wrong. I'll link it down below. But that helps kind of get rid of clogs. So yeah, so 3 to 4 times, 3 to 4 pump sessions a day, you know, and sort of judge how your supply is going. If you're making way too much and you feel that you're having too much of an oversupply, drop a pump or don't pump for as long. You know, you're sort of in control of how much you produce. If in the beginning, so in those first 12 weeks, say you don't want to pump 8 times per day, you don't have to. Like, you could pump 7, you could pump 6. You just might not get a very big supply, but if that's what you want, then that's fine. If you know, like say this is your second pumping journey and you know from a previous journey that you pumped 8 times per day and you got like a massive amount of milk and you don't want that to happen again, I would pump 6 or 7 times a day, or even 5 or 6. Like, just do what you think that your body would react better to. Like, you know, screw the books. Like, if you feel like 5 times per day is enough, then just do 5. I guess like another really good judge is, and this pertains to nursing and pumping, is if you're like going through your day and you're noticing that after your nursing session, after your pumping session, you're still like getting really engorged, I would cut out a couple of pumps. And that goes for nursing and pumping. So say you're pumping twice a day and you're also nursing on demand. But you're still noticing like that you're engorged or you're feeling a lot of letdowns throughout the day, drop a pump, or only pump for like 10 minutes instead of 20 or something. It's just kind of a trial and error. Pumping is, you know, a give and take thing. So like the more you take out, the more that you're supposed to produce. So if you don't take out as much, you won't produce as much, so they say. But it really depends on what your body, you know, is capable of doing. And so for me to kind of say like, if you do this, this, and this will happen, that's not really true for pumping. You have to sort of figure out what works for you. I know for me that if I go longer periods during the day without pumping, I get pretty engorged and I get more milk. But if I try and do that for like 3 to 4 days in a row, my supply will dip because I have to pump more times during the day to kind of keep up my daily ounces, if that makes sense. Where some people can go like, they can only pump 3 times a day and they can space those pumps in the morning, afternoon, and right before they go to bed, and they still reach the same amount of pumps as I do, where I would have to pump like 5 times a day to maintain that ounces. So it's kind of, you know, you got to figure out what works for you and your body and your baby too. It's definitely something that you have to kind of figure out, which it can be frustrating. Pumping can be super frustrating. It can also be very rewarding. But it's very frustrating. So definitely comment with any questions or video requests down below, and I will try to get to them as soon as I can, because I love reading all of your questions and your comments. They mean so much. I still can't believe that we hit 500 subscribers. On my next giveaway, which I can't even believe that I'm saying this, is going to be at 1,000 subscribers, and I'm hoping that we can give away maybe 2 LAVIE products this time. We'll see, but you know, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Let's just enjoy the 500 subscribers that we have now, and December 9th is when my giveaway ends. So I hope that you guys all enter, and I hope whoever wins just enjoys the LAVIE products. But definitely check out that video so that you can enter. And if you have any other video requests, please let me know. My next kind of like pump video is, I really want to give you guys a review on the Lancino Smart Pump. They actually just came out with like a new version of that pump, and I emailed Lancino and I was like, oh my gosh, I really would like to try your pump. So I'm gonna try and get my hands on it. It is on Amazon, so we'll see. My husband was like, if you buy another pump, like, oh my god. So I'm trying not to purchase it, but you know, like, it's really hard not to. So we'll see. And I have to dig the Lancino Smart Pump out of my closet so I can get it and review it for you guys. So definitely keep a lookout for that. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.